Michael Venom Page versus Sharaputdin Magomedov just happened on UFC Fight Night, but we saw Michael Venom Page outclass and dismantle Shara Bullet in that fight. MVP was moving up to middleweight to go against the undefeated Sharaputdin, in which we just saw the pure experience and mastery MVP had over his style just completely overwhelm Shara.
Yeah, Michael Venom Page's style is just so hard to deal with in that kickboxing in and out, karate blitzing style where he's constantly bouncing, he's constantly moving in and out. Shara just really didn't know how to deal with it and how unorthodox those entries are with a right hand blitzing, and then he gets his lead leg on the outside of his opponent's foot, trips them down to the floor, makes them not really able to adjust to the fight. And Shara was trying to come forward, trying to have success with side kicks to the body and stuff like that, but really wasn't landing a lot of head strikes on Michael Venom Page, which is something we knew going into this fight. This guy is not easy to hit whatsoever. He's very elusive, he's very fast, he's always moving. He's either all the way in or he's all the way out, and he showed that perfectly in this fight. Even up a weight class at middleweight, as you said, this kind of seemed to just be a one-off for him. He says he's going to move down to welterweight, but he looked good at this weight against a much bigger guy and took the undefeated record of a guy who was very hyped up, a prospect who was getting highlight reel knockouts. And I don't see how anyone outpoints Michael Venom Page on the feet, just pure kickboxing. Like, his style is very, very hard to time, very hard to figure out, and a very good striker in Shara Bullet was really not able to do much against him. There was barely any grappling exchanges. Shara didn't really try to go to that, as we thought he wouldn't.
Yeah, Shara just couldn't find really any success throughout that entire fight. And it's really incredible at this age, 37 for MVP, how elusive and how quick he still is. That explosive power that he's got, bouncing in and out, looking for the right hand, looking for wild shots. We saw him be extremely creative, as he always is, doing some spinning kicks, as well throwing flying knees that was able to land on Shara. And he's really just mixing it up all the time with his feints as well. And it just left Shara just really confused throughout that entire fight, how to even deal with this guy. I mean, when you got him bouncing in and out on you all fight and you're unprepared for that type of style, it's hard to go against. And Shara just unable to really land anything towards the head of MVP and anything substantial really. It would have been a wonder in that fight if maybe Shara would have went to the ground a bit, mix it up, try to interrupt MVP like Ian Gary was able to do, and that's how he was able to win that fight against MVP. But we know Shara's not really planning for that, and he didn't attempt any takedowns.
Yeah, probably because he doesn't have that in his arsenal, and he hasn't shown that so far. Since the Ian Gary fight, MVP was kind of on this grappling journey. I'm pretty sure he had a grappling match in Polaris against Carlos Condit, and he's been working on his grappling, he's working on his ground game, and he showed good takedown. He didn't really get taken down, but he showed good work in the clinch, and it seemed like he was the bigger, stronger guy, which should not be the case when you're up against a guy a weight class bigger than you, as he was in Shara. The crowd started to even kind of turn on Shara a little bit, as they were rooting for him going into the fight, and then they just started cheering MVP, MVP, as he was styling on Shara a little bit. And it's just a very, very tricky striker. I don't know how you figure this guy out. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next with both these guys. Shara's going to probably work to still make his way up the middleweight division, but it's going to be tough, especially if he goes up against a grappler, someone who could just take him down. But he's not really going to face guys like MVP that much, guys that have that style. It's a very unique style, and stylistically this was always going to be a tough match for Shara, because it's just hard to figure out and time MVP style. He's very tricky, he's very elusive.
This is going to be a really good win for him, as he just be an undefeated hype prospect in Shara. And really his only loss out of his 3 fights is to Ian Gary, who, if he would have beaten Shavkat, he would have fought for the title as well. So only against really high competition, and he still has potential. This is towards the end of his career really. He only has a few years left, so he's going to try to claim that belt as soon as possible. And still, even though he lost to Ian Gary, that style can really benefit him in many ways, and he could really pose a threat for any sort of fighter. But the issue with welterweight is at the top, it's such a grapple-heavy competition there. The champion, Bilal Muhammad, who's extremely good at wrestling. You got Ian Gary himself, who dismantled MVP in wrestling, and Shavkat as well, who, even though we saw him not do the best in grappling against Ian Gary, he could probably as well out-grapple MVP. So that's his main issue there. It's just, at that weight class, can he really be able to defend all those takedown attempts and get back to his striking game? It's a little one-dimensional in that case, but he's just so good at what he does, and if he goes tit for tat with anyone, he's gonna win no matter what in that striking, at least from what we've seen. It's just the issue is the grappling.
Yeah, on the feet I could see him holding his own against anyone, if not outpointing them, definitely. But like you said, that grappling threat in the welterweight division is going to be tough to go through. There are a couple rising contenders who are primarily strikers, which I could see him definitely targeting for his next fights, but we thought Ian Gary was primarily a striker, and what do you know, he out-grappled MVP. As we said, MVP is kind of on this grappling journey and is trying to improve in that aspect as well, so if he's able to tighten that up and get better in the grappling aspect, I could definitely see him putting up great fights against the likes of Joaquin Buckley, Sean Brady, Leon Edwards even. That one would probably be a little bit tough because Leon is a good grappler as well. But the one thing we know about MVP is he can definitely be in very exciting fights. This is what this fight was, really. MVP moving up a division, and he's only ranked 15th at welterweight. I doubt this win is going to really improve him that much because he didn't fight at welterweight, but I could definitely see him putting up a good fight against a lot of these guys. His fight against Ian Gary, it's not like it was a whitewash. It was pretty close, especially on the feet. MVP was doing his thing and kind of turned Gary to a wrestler. So what you don't want is him going up against a guy like Colby Covington or one of those guys who are just going to only look to wrestle him. Seems like he wants to be in fun fights. He's called out guys like Kamaru Usman in the past. That would be an interesting fight. Someone like Leon Edwards, maybe the battle of the British UK guys who are very good on the feet. That would be definitely an interesting fight for MVP, but I don't see him getting to a title shot or getting a title at all. It's going to just be very hard to get to that point and get past the grapplers and the contenders at welterweight.
Yeah, I've got to agree. And like you said, I think the best step forward for MVP is going to be to have those fun fights. That's kind of why he's here in a sense, especially as he's older now. And while he's still here and as entertaining as he is outside of the octagon and even in the octagon, we should just get him to have all these exciting matchups while we can. It's just tough to see him being able to match up and building all the way for a title fight, and I think it would just be better use of his remaining matches to put him in memorable and fun fights. And for Shara, what's next is he's got to really bounce back from this defeat. It's not the best look if MVP goes back to welterweight now, and he kind of just lost his undefeated streak to welterweight, and that guy's no longer in his division anymore. So he's definitely going to have to build his way back up, get some good wins together, work on that grappling probably, but he's still got time. He's still able to work up his skills and still climb the middleweight ladder in the future.
Yeah, he's still young. I don't think he deserves a rank contender right now unless maybe you give him one of those fun fights like someone like Israel Adesanya, who's also needs to win, needs a bounce back fight. He's still going to be ranked highly in the division, but both guys lost in this card. Both guys are looking to bounce back and get a win, and it's not someone who's primarily a grappler, so it would definitely be an interesting stylistic matchup. I remember Shara calling Israel Adesanya out after his double spinning back fist knockout, and he still has very creative striking, great skills, so that would be a great matchup that they could possibly make in the middleweight division. Because I don't know who else Izzy would really fight now if he is continuing.
So let us know down below what you thought about the fight and what's next for both MVP and Shara. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more punch talk.